Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth and this is my Fosstube number 5. Whew, it's been a couple of weeks and I have a lot to show you. I'm so excited to get into it. And I have about an hour before the Little Mermaid Live starts. So I'm hoping that we can get this done in under an hour. But I'm looking at what I have next to me and I might be missing the beginning. So jumping right in to the best new thing I learned this week and last week. It's actually not a best thing. It's a worst thing. I did 1/1 Krynic on 32 count for the first time last week. And it was the worst thing I've ever done. That sounds really dramatic. But I just need to be very clear about how absolutely horrible it was. Like, I almost started crying at how frustrated I was. I pulled it out so many times. I did it over and over again. Coffee Stitcher, Garrett, was telling me that I should be able to do 1/1 Krynic on 32 count with number 4 Krynic. And I don't know what sort of patience of steel he has. I also know that he did his entire Emerald City in Krynic, which is crazy. A little crazy. I will not be doing 1/1 Krynic again. I think I got myself into a hole of having to do it one more time on Emerald City because the newest part that was released has the ruby slippers or silver slippers in the case of the books up in the last bit, and I think those are 1/1 as well. So I'm gonna have to do them again, and I'm dreading it already. I'm not even close, but I'm dreading it. What I ended up doing, because I could not make the 1/1 full cross work for me, was I ended up doing 10 stitches. And I think I can tell when my face is right up next to it, but when I sit back, I don't think you can really tell. I'll be showing it in a minute or two, and you guys can let me know what you think. But I think it's okay. I'll show you when we get there. I hated it. Hated it. It does give me an appreciation for Krynic over 2 because I don't really love that either, but I'll take that any day now. Oh. All right. Moving on to what I worked on this week. Well, before we do that, I have a couple of things that I want to share with you. First being that I put the pedal to the metal and I finished my year 6 extra credit for Magical Stitches. I was literally down to the minute finishing my last assignment, but I did it and it felt so great to get it all done. So yeah, super, super happy about that. And I finished the homework as well, so I didn't even have to sacrifice the homework for the extra credit. So thrilled about that. Because I definitely did not think I was going to finish. Next thing, based on a number of Flosstubers who have been talking about this, I jumped on the bandwagon and got the X-Stitch app. Now, I'd downloaded it a while ago and I guess downloaded it and not really looked at it. And so I'd used up my free trial. I didn't really want to mess with it. It's only $10 a year. So I just went ahead and subscribed. And I'm not pleased at all with it. I was really hoping it would be a better experience considering how many people are talking about it and suggesting it. I was not impressed at all, to be totally honest. No offense to the creators of the app. It's very fully featured. It's just a lot of the things that I would want to use it for, it doesn't really work for me. Something that I was really frustrated by, for example, my fancy floss, adding them all in, there didn't appear to be a way to like see all of my fancy floss all together. I had to pick a brand to filter down before I could see my list. I was really frustrated, and this honestly is what made me put the app down, was that I was trying to add pictures of my projects, and what I do on my phone to just organize my life, because I'm taking a million pictures of my projects for Magical Stitches, is that I have albums. So I have an album of pictures of my stash, an album of pictures of my whips, and an album of pictures of my finishes. And these are like just the cover images for the most part. I also sometimes do albums for progress pictures, but I was really wanting to drill into my albums in my phone to look for pictures to associate with my projects in the Xstitch app, and it won't let you do that. It'll just let you scroll back in time through your most recent photos, as far as I could tell. So that was like prohibitive for me. I was pretty frustrated by that. So this could be really great for some of you. I don't think it's gonna be great for me. If you have any suggestions for how I might try and use it differently, I'm definitely open to that. I just got really frustrated with it this week and kind of annoyed that I spent $10 on it. But at this point, I will not be renewing it. For now, the photos in my albums and my spreadsheet is working okay for me. And I am working on a possible better solution. Yeah, I'm not going to say more on that for now. Next thing was really super exciting. I'm just hanging out, watching Flosstube, and watching Ellen read Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour. She's fantastic. She has me cracking up all the time. And she gave me a shout out. So thank you, Ellen. That was really sweet of you. And shout out right back at you. I have been loving watching your videos and keeping up with your progress. You are such a prolific stitcher, and I can only aspire to stitch like you. I also got a beautiful shout out from Laura from the Pattern Queen, and that was super lovely as well. And again, shout out right back at you. I had so much fun meeting you at Galleria, and I can't wait to see you again soon because I signed up to go to the Show Me retreat, which will be my first true retreat. I know I went to Galleria, but it sounds like from what everyone's talking about that Galleria is kind of like a different thing. Even though it is a place for stitchers to all gather together, it's got the like market vibe to it, whereas most retreats don't really have that. They might have like a trunk show, a designer there, but it seems like most retreats are really different from Galleria. So this will be my first true cross-stitch retreat, and I'm so excited. So that'll be April, I think, is when that is. And I already can't wait. So thank you, Laura, for your shout out, and thank you for organizing this retreat that I cannot wait to go to. So everyone, go head over and watch Ellen and Laura. All right, let's move into what I worked on this past 2 weeks. And we're gonna start out with both a start and a finish. This little guy has me so pleased. There he is. Actually, you know what? This is a she. This is a she-sheep. A you, if you will. Because I put in the final stitches on this project when I was watching Ellen's video where she shouted me out, and I've never been shouted out before until Ellen did it, so I was just like, what? That's my name. So I think this sheep has to be named Ellen. Also, my mom's name is Ellen, and I finished this on her birthday. So happy birthday, Mom. It can be Ellen for both of them. So I love that piece and think it's real cute, and I can't wait to get it finished and add it to my Christmas decorations. I'm feeling like it's unlikely that I'll get it finished by this Christmas just because I'm starting to get quite a backlog of finishes, and I think I have no idea what I'm going to do with that one. So, I don't know. If you have any ideas, always thrilled to hear. That was stitched on 28 count natural linen fabric, by the way. And designed by, I don't want to say it wrong. Hold on. Whoop, that's not where I would find that. Designed by La Hoopla. So I finished that in like 3 stitching days, really quick. So that was great. Next up, here's a Love You More bag. Thank you, Laura. Another new start is, whoops, I've got a ton of floss hanging out in this one, is Bendy Stitchy's Hilde's Brew. And I stitched on this leading up to Halloween. This has been a fun stitch, y'all. I really have enjoyed stitching on this. I'm obsessed with this rosy pink color on this fabric. I'm using Echo, which is the called for, but it looks much bluer than the image. Let me see if I can pull it up. So this is the cover image, and it's much like grayer and purplier. Oh, now I have a really bad glare. There we go. And my fabric is very blue, even though it's the called for. But I'm obsessed. I'm seriously obsessed. So I did some color converting on this one. Not a lot, but I did not... Oh, so I had the gray that is called for in her dress and her hat. It's supposed to be the same color, and I stitched with it, and it was basically identical to the fabric. So I went ahead and ripped that out, and in my experimentation with other flosses, I couldn't decide what I liked, so I stitched the hat in one and the dress in another, and then I just thought it was really cute, not the same thing, so I kept it. So the hat is in 3884, and the dress is in 3799. I also swapped out the skin for something a little bit less harsh. It still is green, but it's not quite as like in your face green. In your face. And that is 369. And the smoke curl or the steam curls, those are in étoile, but you can't really tell. So I have a ton more fabric left from this. So much fabric. And I'm obsessed with the way that this pink looks on this color. So I might try and look for something I can do with that. I don't know if it'll be monochromatic or just incorporating that color. Ooh, who knows? I have no clue. Again, if you have suggestions for me, let me know. I also decided that I'm not going to do the called for border. I am going to do a border. I'm going to do it the same design as called for, but I'm going to use a different color. I think I'm going to use an étoile, but I haven't totally decided. Maybe by the next video, you'll see what I picked. So that is Hilde's Brew, and that's really close to being done. I just have like her shoes, which I think I'm going to do in the same color as the dress. I have her shoes, like the ground is a green color. It's in the light and the dark green. And then the border. So, one other finish I had, sort of a partial finish, but I'm going to count this as a finish. I finished my first page on my HP Covers collage by Fox and Teacup. This is my first ever page finish on a like big full coverage piece. This is not a Hade, feels like it is because it's, I don't know, that's just what I think of when I think of big full coverage. And I think it's coming along so wonderfully. You can see the outline of where the R is going to go. And I'm really loving this piece. The first page was not a full page, but it's close. It's not that far off. All right, so now just some whips that I worked on this week. Here's my Emerald City with my 1/1 Kreinik. Horribleness. And here is what it looks like now. It's getting unwieldy to show you guys. So I'm going to show you in some pieces here. So down here at the bottom, it's not going to want to focus for me. The Shoes of Dorothy and the Wicked Witch of the East are both done in 1/1 Kreinik. It's not focusing. Maybe I'll post a picture of that to Instagram so y'all can see what that looks like. I mean, from back here, it just looks like shoes. It's no big deal, but it was no fun. And the back of that, I'll post the back to Instagram too. Yeah, it's not even remotely gonna focus, but the back is super bulky with the Kreinik. I'll get over it one day. Still not over it. And then I put in, and those Kreinik stitches took me like multiple hours. So I also worked on the Wicked Witch of the West. She is done. I just have to do the arc around her head. And then I did, I think I finished out the Emerald City minus the green Kreinik that's going to go in. And then I did a tiny little bit on the wizard. So I did all of my homeworks from this week, this past week in this piece, because we got a really significant bonus for stitching all in one piece. So I got some good progress on that. All the more frustrating for having to spend so much time on the Kreinik. I could have just moved on, but I was committed. Okay. Also, since I worked on Emerald City for so much of this past week, everything before that feels like forever ago. But I worked on my Old Faithful piece a little bit and just did some background stitching. All one color, really not exciting. But that's what I did. And this is what that will look like when it's done. as always, I have that in my bison bag that I love. And last but not least, I worked on my Rainbow Blackwork by Peppermint Purple, which will look like this. And I finished the top row. I don't know if I've ever shown this piece before on camera. But I did the whole, nope, this one, this block right here. I finished that this week. And I also did a little bit more of the border on the next row. I'm really sad to be done with this top color. I really like this color. But really happy to be making progress on this. I really, really enjoy it. And this piece I have in a wonderful bag made for me by my friend Jen. Love it. So that was all I worked on. I do have some haul. So let's go into that. I have a few things. How do I want to do this? So this week I'd like to talk about some smalls that I'm going to be working on in the next 2 months for holiday gifts. And I am afraid that some of my friends and family who would be recipients of those smalls may be watching. I am not delusioned that lots of people I know in real life watch my videos, because why would they want to dive so deeply into my craziness? But I know that my grandma just started watching my first video yesterday because my dad showed her my videos, and I talk about a gift that I'm making for her in my first video. My dad was like, oops, sorry. So if you're watching, hi Grandma, I love you. Your piece will not be done for a very long time. I'm very sorry. So I think I'm gonna hold off on the haul bits that are gonna be for gifts until the end, and then I'll do a skip ahead for anyone relevant. So haul that I got that is not for gifts that I can show. I did some Etsy shopping last week. I was having a rough day and I just needed some retail therapy. So I got this autumn sampler, and this comes from, I lost it. I had it up and then I lost it. The autumn sampler comes from, I didn't write it down. I'll put it in the description. I also got this very quick stitch, I'm sure. I'm very excited to do that one. I love Elf. And then I'm a big Firefly fan, so I'm really excited to stitch this one. I thought about giving this one as a gift because I have a lot of friends who also really like Firefly, but sometimes you gotta do stitching for yourself, right? This one's gonna have to be for me. I just can't get over the dinosaurs fighting each other on the bottom. For a long time while I was looking at this, I had this favorited for a long time, and I thought it was just the same dinosaurs in the top and the bottom because I didn't really look that closely at it. Nope. One's dead. I love it. That I'm sure will be a really quick stitch as well. Those are all my Etsy purchases that I can show. I'll come back to the rest. Actually, this one I'll show as well. This one is from Lindy Stitches. And I will likely stitch this as a gift for my mom because it physically pains her. Incorrect grammar? Physically pains her. But I don't know that this is going to be a secret gift. I don't even think she watches my videos. It's okay, Mom. I forgive you. So yeah. Those were some fun purchases. And then I got Emily's House by Lindy Stitches. I wasn't really planning on getting this. I think it's beautiful. It's not really my style though. I'm not really like a house stitcher. Not a cat person, and there are like a million cats on this. I know Stephanie from Lindy Stitches is super into like weird wonky animals on patterns, and so there's like some weird wonky birds that I don't know that I'm like the biggest fan of, but they're growing on me. And there's a snail in the yard, which I think is adorable. I didn't notice that before. So yeah, I don't know when I'll stitch this, but I do really like it. The reason I ended up getting it is twofold. As I said, I was really hesitant about it, but then Stephanie posted her like kit listing on Etsy, and it's not a full kit because it doesn't have fabric, but it has everything else. And it came with this bag. And when I saw this bag, I'm pretty sure my heart stopped beating. For like several minutes. So I really wanted it. And the other reason why I decided to get this was when I was at Galleria, she was debuting Emily's House. And I didn't know that. And I was just walking around her shop area and saw this pile of threads and was like, oh my gosh, these are all me. Like, this is me in a pile of floss. And then I saw that it was for a project, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that, and so I didn't get them. This is what they look like. And the camera is not even doing them justice. This red is not allowed to hide like that. The red and the blue and the green and the yellow are just, I'm sorry. Like, look at this green. It's a lot. It's a lot for me to handle because it's just so beautiful. So, all those things combined, I was kind of like, you know, I think I'm going to go for it. I think I'm going to go out of my comfort zone a little bit. That's good for me, right? So, yeah. No rush to start that, but I was excited when that came today. I also ordered on 123Stitch all of the materials that I need, and literally all of them. As soon as my package comes, I can start my I Forget the Rest by Lindy Stitches. And this I want to start for my anniversary, which is tomorrow. And so that package should already be here. I ordered another package from 123Stitch on the same day because I am ridiculous. I kitted this project and then I was like, actually, I want to kit some more stuff. So I paid for shipping twice, but whatever. So the second package has already arrived. It arrived yesterday. So I don't know why the first package hasn't come yet, but that should be here hopefully tomorrow, so I can start it tomorrow. But if not, it'll get started this week. And I will talk about my 1-2-3 stitch, the rest of my 1-2-3 stitch purchases when we get into the stuff that I can't talk about in front of the whole audience. One thing I can talk about though is, yeah, I think this is the only one. Yeah. One project that I can talk about is I got this fabric, and it is not showing up even remotely close on camera. 16 count Violet Mist Ada. It's like a pinkish, purplish, very light, dusty color. And I'm going to stitch Beware of Nargles on it. And I've really struggled finding fabric for this piece. I bought this pattern like near the beginning of this year. And so I've had it for a really long time. And I bought it actually for the intention of starting for Magical Stitches for a yearly extra credit, like a ultimate stitching. And it's charted on this white fabric, but it's got white mistletoe berries in it, and you just can't see them on the white fabric. And so I was trying to figure out what fabric would work for this. And I've decided to be a little bit adventurous and try it on this like dusty pinkish color. We'll see how it goes. I think I have more than I need. I have this much. And so I think I might also do a floss toss on this for another piece that I've been really struggling to find fabric for, which is this one. And it's charted on white, but for some reason I just really don't want to do it on white. But there's a lot of color, like I want to do it on purple, but I can't because there's too much purple in the flowers. And I thought about doing it on yellow, but then there's also yellow in the flowers. And I think the purple wouldn't pop enough. And I want the words to really pop. So I might do a floss toss on this like pinkish, purplish light color fabric for this to see how I like it. I don't know. Might not work out. I just finished my most recent rewatch of Buffy, and so I've been itching to start that one. All right. We'll come back to my fabric in a minute. Ah, dropping things. Oh dear. Everything's fine. I did get a few pins in the mail, so I'll show you those. Uh-oh, crinkle. Should have done that first. Sorry about that. So I'm a huge nerd, and primarily I'm a huge Star Trek nerd. And I know this isn't Star Trek, but it's very close. If anybody is not watching the Orville, if you're a Star Trek fan and not watching the Orville, what are you doing with your life? Ooh, I think the stock on this is bent. Oh well. So this is, I think, the command insignia for Orville. And I love it. When I was in New York Comic Con, I went to the Star Trek panel. There was also an Orville panel that I didn't get to go to because I had to leave for the airport. And I was very disappointed. And I don't remember what shop that came from. I will link it down below. All right, now from the shop Pure Dead Brilliant, I got a set of pins because I just could not resist. They came in these really cute envelopes. And these are the Defense Against the Dark Arts. It's a line of them. Let me see if I can do them in order. That'd be fun. Here we go. We have Potter. I love that. And the stone is glittery. I don't know if you can tell. And then we have Lockhart, who cannot help looking at himself in the mirror, which is great. And then, oh, we're already out of order. Hold on. Here we go. Then we have Lupin, and it's a chocolate bar that says, the glare is really hard. It says Moonies. So that is stunning. And then we have Moody. We have his Polyjuice flask with the weird like head on top. It's so hard to see with the glare. And then his eye. It says Constant Vigilance. And then we have Umbridge and a cat plate. Oh my god, the glare is so bad. And it says, I will have order. And then we have Snape. And this says, it says Legilimens on it, and it's Snape's wand. This is not even like remotely doing them justice because there's so much reflection on them. Go to this wonderful artist shop, Pure Dead Brilliant. I will link them down below. I don't know if every pin in this line is still available. I bought them all as a set. But if they're still available, go and snatch them up because they will not be available forever. One day, I'll do a pin walkthrough of all my pins. One day. All right. Plans. Let's talk about magical stitches for a minute. So, the year 7 extra credit was released. And so I'm going to walk through just real quick the extra credit assignments and what I think I'm planning to work on for them. These are not all things I'll work on the next couple weeks, but these are things that I will hopefully work on before the end of the year. So, stitch on a final design of a collection. I will be stitching on, whoops, let's not show you all my notifications. Pride and Prejudice. That'll be pretty easy to just work on the border all the way around to the bottom. Stitch on something related to the Deathly Hallows. That one I'm going to work on my, ooh, that was a needle. My covers collage because Harry is obviously related to the Deathly Hallows because he's related to the Peveril brothers. Also, there's several wands in this. I think one of them might even be Dumbledore's. Then we have stitch on something with a light source. For that, I'm going to work on Christmas Carol. This one has not gotten very much love recently, but there's a street light in this one. Wait, did I just lose another needle? Good grief. Let's not do that. We have, in honor of Neville's frog Trevor, stitch on something hair in my mouth. Stitch on something you've never had to frog. I doubt that's something that I have in progress. I've never had to frog. So that's probably going to be a new start. Probably one of the things that I mention coming up. Stitch on a design that includes the great outdoors. That's going to be my Old Faithful piece that I showed earlier. Stitch on a remembrance piece for Hedwig, Lupin, Fred, Tonks, Mad Eye, Snape, or Dobby. That one is either going to be Rainbow Blackwork for Tonks, or it's going to be a new start, which I'm going to be starting for some other challenges as well. And that is the burrow. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. This is a full coverage that came from Etsy, which I know sometimes those can be a little bit iffy. I'm really hoping this one doesn't suck. I might start in the middle on this one to make sure that it's turning out okay. I don't know, we'll see. I have fabric for this that I bought ages ago. I'm also going to work on that one for stitch on a piece that represents Shell Cottage, Gringotts, or the burrow, because obviously the burrow. I'll also probably be stitching on that one for stitch on a piece that you started just for magical stitches, because that's why I got this for an ultimate. When I joined magical stitches and I was planning my ultimates, this is a piece that I picked out for that, and I went ham and bought pieces that I wasn't even remotely ready to start. Shocking. I've never done that. Stitch on a celebration piece for the wedding. That one will be Pride and Prejudice. Stitch on a piece that represents one of the main characters of the past 7 books. That'll be Covers Collage for Harry. And then the 2 movies, which I usually just work on whatever needs or wants work. So that's my year 7 extra credit stitching all planned out. And, you know, I've never changed plans, so those are definitely the ones I'll be sticking with. Something else I thought I'd mention, now that I have my fabric for the Tiny Modernist Christmas sale, the 3rd part out of 4 just came out. And I've been thinking long and hard about it, and I don't think I'm going to do this piece. It's more cartoony than I usually go for, and it's big. It's really big, and I just think there are things that I'm more excited about. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that big piece of fabric. I waited so long for it. But I guess it's good that I didn't have it right away, because I'd probably still be feeling this way, but I'd already put time into it. But now I haven't even started it, so it's good that I had time to think about it. I don't know what I'll use that fabric for. I have been watching Snow Village come out by Country Cottage Needleworks, and I really like the look of that one. I don't know if the dimensions of my fabric will work for it or if the color will work, but that's one I'm considering. If you have suggestions for what I can do with that fabric, I showed it in, I think, just my last video. It's the called for Picture This plus Nessie. So if you have any ideas, hit me up. Let me know. Projects that I'm going to be working on this coming week for Magical Stitches homework. I don't know what I'll work on the week after that, but this one I know is going to be, I'm going to work on my covers piece. That one will be for work on a whip that you would have as the cover of your biography. Harry Potter. Yep. I'll be working on Hilde for say goodbye to a project by working on a whip that you're the closest to finishing, because I think it's hard to tell because I don't have the like complete stitch count of Hilde, but I think that Hilde is the closest of everything. I think it's under 1,000 stitches, but I guess we're gonna find out. It's the one thing that really bums me out about patterns is when they don't tell you how many stitches are in something. Because I'm ridiculous and do a bunch of metrics on my stitching. Then we have stitch on a project with repeating patterns. That's going to be Pride and Prejudice. I could also work on Hilde for that one. That might just be like whatever I'm feeling. We'll see. Then we have 2 pieces that I'm excited to get to pull out this week, which are work on a project, you can hear the sound it would make when you look at it. And for that one, I'm going to stitch my piano piece, and this is where it is now. And I don't think that is difficult to explain why I might hear the sound of that. Let me see if I can pull up what that will look like done. So that's what it will look like. And then Harry cleaned out his trunk and found a bunch of old treasures. Work on the whip that you haven't worked on in the longest. And right now, that is Hogwarts Express. And this is one of my pieces that is under 2,000 stitches from completing. Actually, it could be like right at 2,000 or slightly over, but it's close to 2,000. And that's what it looks like now. This doesn't have a needle minder on it, which is kind of shocking to me. I probably repurposed it for something else. I'm excited to get to pull that one out though, because it really has been a long time since I worked on it and I miss it. I like every piece that I'm not stitching on, I miss. And every piece that I'm stitching on, I'm loving. For the most part. So, I mean, that's a really good problem to have, right? So, I think I've covered everything I plan on stitching this week. So now is going to be the part where I talk about, ooh, and we have 10 minutes to Little Mermaid, so gotta hurry it up. Now is when I'm going to talk about things that I plan on stitching for gifts. So if we are friends or family in real life, or like close friends on the internet, please skip ahead. Actually, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, so just end now. Just bye. I love you. If you spoil yourself, that's on you. I can't help you. So, let's start with, for one of my best friends, I'm going to be stitching Library Cat. And I will probably be changing the colors of the cat, because she has a, I want to say like a tortoise colored cat. I don't know. Is that how you say that? I don't know. I'm not a cat person. But I love her cat. And so I'll probably try and figure out how to change the colors for that. I don't really know how to do that. I'm going to wing it. And this does have beads along the top. And I didn't really want to buy a big thing of beads, sight unseen, from 123 Stitch that I wasn't even sure the colors were going to be right. It doesn't specify exactly the beads that it uses. It just says like red, green, and yellow beads, which is not very helpful. And I looked a little bit on 123 Stitch and I couldn't really find anything I liked. She also doesn't celebrate Christmas, and I felt like the lights were really Christmassy. So instead, from Michael's, I just picked up a pack of gold seed beads. I don't know how well these will work, but I'm going to try it. They were super cheap, so like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I picked up some fabric for this. This is like a, this is called 16 count fog DADA. And it's just like a grayish neutral. It's like off-white gray. Next, so these patterns are all purchases as well from the last 2 weeks. I got this tree Rex. And that'll be for another one of my best friends. And that I'm just going to use. I have some like plain white Ada at home that I'll use for that. Next I have this for my boyfriend who is super obsessed with chess. And the pattern has them like 2 and 2 instead of 4 in a line. I think that was the sizing that I used when I purchased my fabric. I don't know if they'll fit 4 in a row, and I haven't decided which way I want to do them yet. I might even do them 4 singles. I don't know. I'll play around with it. But that'll be a fun little thing to give to him for Christmas. And I got this 32 count Heritage Lugana for that. It's showing up really beige in the camera, but it is shockingly really green in person. It's way greener than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be like more what it's showing up in camera, like much more neutral. But I'm not mad at it. I was a little mad when I first looked at it. I was like, what is this for? But I think I'm okay with it. And I think those are all of my pattern purchases from this past week. I also have this piece that I'm going to stitch as a gift. And that is going to go on this gray 16 count Dapple Ada. When I do blackwork, I really do prefer Ada just because stitching with one thread, it slips way less often on Ada. And last but not least, I bought these stunning 16 count Mystic Ada. And I bought 4 of these pieces because I'm going to stitch these for my co-managers of my team MuggleNet because they are just such wonderful women who work so hard, and I value them so much, and we have a phrase that is very special to our team, so I'm going to stitch that. It's a word. I'm going to stitch that for each of them on this fabric, and there's 3 of them, and then also 1 for me too, because I just think it'll be an awesome thing for all of us to have. And unlike my Alohamoras, that I forget if I talked about those on camera or just on my Instagram, I stitched Alohomora 6 times for my fellow co-hosts of Alohomora and for our wonderful editor Patrick, and they were bigger pieces. They were like 8x10s, and that took me a really long time to stitch 6 of them. And so with these, they're much smaller. I charted the letters myself, and I think those will be pretty quick stitches, so I'm not as worried about doing that 4 times. And the one for me, I can put off a little bit. The 3 others I'd really like to have done for Christmas. So, I'm just looking back through. I think those are all of the gift things that I kitted up or purchased. Yep, I think that's it. All right, so we are done just in time for me to head over and get started watching The Little Mermaid. And Garrett, I really hope that your power is back or your internet is back, whatever was out, so that you can provide amazing commentary like you promised. All right, thank you, lovelies, for hanging out with me and just for all of your support. You're all so wonderful. Thank you so much for spending time with me. And I will be back again in a couple of weeks. Bye.